You're listening to The Secrets of Doctor Who, where we discuss everything about the hit BBC series Doctor Who, and today we're discussing a 7th Doctor Big Finish audio story, The Word Lord. I'm Dom Bettinelli, and joining me today is Jimmy Akin. Hey, Jimmy.
Howdy, Dom.
Folks, be sure to get your very own Secrets of Doctor Who t-shirt or phone case or coffee mug or more by visiting our merchandise store at sqpn.com/merch. So, Jimmy, can you give us a recap of what happens in this brief story?
Sure. This is one of my favorite stories. I absolutely love this story. It's less than 30 minutes long, but it is incredibly intricate. And fortunately, it has a sequel, which is even longer, and we'll discuss that at some point in the future. I also have a sequel idea, but I will tell you about that after we've covered the sequel that's been made thus far. In any event, this time, the 7th Doctor, Ace, and Hex arrive in the year 2045 at a classified bunker in Antarctica. Oh, I should also mention this story was done for the 45th anniversary of Doctor Who. This time, the 7th Doctor, Ace, and Hex arrive in the year 2045 at a classified bunker in Antarctica where secret peace talks are going on during the Second Cold War. They've arrived just after an American diplomat has been murdered and reinforcements are on the way. The diplomat's murder is very odd since the base is so remote that, nobody can get in without clearance. There's no way for an assassin to get in. Also, the base has extensive monitor arrays and nobody can avoid them. For security reasons, no printed matter is allowed at the base except for the procedures manual, and the computer system is wiped and rebooted every 45 hours, so people can't use print and computers to do suspicious things. Just to be safe, though, the Doctor has Ace take all the diplomats into the TARDIS since nobody can get into it and hurt them. With the help of the bunker's computer system, the Doctor learns that the number 45 has been appearing a strange number of times. In fact, there have been 4,545 occurrences of the number and its variations recently. And there's a new appearance of the number or a variation every 4 minutes and 50 seconds. The Doctor deduces that this is a signature left by a travel tool known as a cordis, or conveyance of repeated dialogue in space-time, which has disguised itself as a joke that someone told on the base. The cordis is the travel tool of a word lord, the word lords being the equivalent of Time Lords from a realm 45 billion dimensions to the left of ours. It's a universe that's made out of words and language rather than matter and energy. And word lords gain power from things people say. The word lord in this case is named Nobody No One, and he appears in the TARDIS and kills many of the delegates because the Doctor himself said nobody can get into the TARDIS and hurt those people. He also sneaks into the bunker because other people said that nobody could get in without clearance and nobody could avoid the monitor arrays. Nobody then confronts the Doctor and the base commander, Claire Spencer. He reveals that he's a renegade word lord who has become a bounty hunter and he's here to kill the Doctor. But to buy time, Commander Spencer steps in front of his ray gun and saves the Doctor. This buys enough time for Hex to access the TARDIS translation circuits. He throws them into reverse, causing everyone's words and thoughts to be translated into a language they can't understand. And while that's happening, the Doctor wipes and reboots the computer system. Since the bunker's inhabitants weren't using intelligible language, and since the computer system was wiped, there was nowhere for nobody to go except into the pages of the procedures manual, and when they look at it, the Doctor, Ace, and Hex read part of a description about him being trapped in the procedures manual. But before they can get the manual away to safety, security reinforcements arrive at the base because of the diplomat's murder. One of them yells, "Nobody move!" And suddenly, the pages of the procedures manual are all blank. The end.
If you like clever wordplay, this is the story for you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, Jimmy, you said this is one of your favorite stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I specifically requested that we do this one. I think it's just a ton of fun. And I really appreciate the fact they have a sequel to it. I will not here spoil what they do in the sequel, but it's fun stuff.
Right. And it is a classic locked door mystery in the sense of this is the most locked door mystery you can ever have. There's no way that anything that could could get into the base to kill someone. That's just not possible. But nobody could.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're in the presence of nobody, no one, if he's lurking around somewhere and you say nobody can get into the base and avoid its security arrays, well, then nobody can get into the base and avoid its security procedures. And it's particularly ironic that the Doctor himself said nobody can get into the TARDIS and kill and harm those people.
Right. And it's nobody, no one. So if you say no one can do it,
same thing.
You give them the power. It's almost like, using the name of a demon or something like that. That old the folk tales about if you have the true name of a demon or a magician or something, it gives you power over them. And this is kind of the reverse. Using the true name gives him power, which is interesting. So
yeah, that's actually something that goes back to, I mean, I'm sure it's in other ancient cultures too, but I happen to know that having someone's true name was a big deal in ancient Egypt. The names that we know Egyptians by are not ancient Egyptians, are not their true names. Your true name was something like you knew and your mother knew and nobody else. Because if you have someone's true name, you could use it to do magic against them. And so Isis, the goddess of magic, was also called she who knows everyone's name.
Ooh, interesting. So in ancient Egypt, nobody knew your name.
Exactly. Yeah. I can also just imagine, and it's fun when you learn the word parts of Egyptian names, like, a lot of them are theophoric, which means they carry a god's name within them. So like Amenhotep, that refers to the hidden god Amun. And Tutankhamun, that means living image of Amun. But you learn these other parts like Hotep. You hear Hotep a lot. That means is pleased. So Amenhotep would mean Amun is pleased. And I can just imagine some ancient Egyptian mothers getting mad and accidentally using someone's real name and saying something like, Amenhotep, get in here, or Amun is pleased, get in here right now. And letting the
because mom is slip. Displeased.
Yes.
Yeah. The base is called the Ranulph Fiennes Antarctic Base. Ranulph Fiennes was a real person. He was a British explorer, Antarctic explorer, of course, and writer and poet, apparently.
Everyone was back then.
Yes, I know. If you wrote your poetry about your Arctic trips. I don't know if he's related to the actors, because I was like, Fiennes is like Ralph and Joseph. But I don't know. I didn't see anything about that. But the Doctor has been to Antarctica quite a bit. The first Doctor goes in his final episode, the 10th planet, his regeneration episode. So, that's the first time he goes to Antarctic bases that apparently are there. But Hex notes, like, when they show up here, there's a dead body. And they're being detained. And Hex, who's a companion of the Seventh Doctor in Big Finish, says
he's also a nurse and he's very mild-mannered. He's like Rory Williams.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's like an early Rory, because this is 2008 would be before Rory showed up on TV.
And he's Catholic. He teases Ace about being Church of England.
Oh, funny. I haven't heard. Those would be funny stories. He notes that they always show up at murders or wars, but never good parties. And Ace says, it's as if the TARDIS is programmed to home in on trouble. And the Doctor says, of course it doesn't. It isn't. But of course it is, actually, because that's how we have stories. So I thought that was a clever and funny bit of dialogue there. They're negotiating.
By the way, one thing. So now that the listener knows that. Now, I would say it's worth listening to this more than once, because you'll pick up on more of the wordplay that is plot significant. Now, we've already spoiled this story, so you know it going in, you know what the gimmick is, but it's because of the nature of it and the complex audio layer in and hearing people saying things in the background and stuff. This, even though it's short, it repays multiple listens.
And I knew going in, because you told me what the gimmick was, and I still enjoyed it a lot, because even with that, and maybe because of that, because I could hear when the Doctor first says nobody can get in the TARDIS, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's significant. And so I started to hear more and more things in the 45. So the use of the number 45 is significant, as we mentioned. What do you say? It was the pulsing of the engines of the Cordis. The Cordis. So when you start hearing 45s, the number 45 creeping up, it means that Cordis is present, and it's kind of like the TARDIS's sound with the
vorp.
Yeah, the what's her name calls the emergency brake of the TARDIS being left on. So that's that was River Song. Thank you. The head of the commander of the bunker, Commander Spencer, alludes to the fact that she's basically the head of, or represents, what passes for unit in 2045. So
yeah, so she already knows about the Doctor from all the files she's read,
and basically reactivates him again. Yeah. which happens. It's funny. Again, this is 2008, so unit in the televised. Maybe it has shown up at this point, but the Doctor gets reactivated in the televised too, by unit the 10th and 11th Doctor's time.
One of the interesting things that I've seen Stephen Moffat say when he wrote Silence in the Library, the original inspiration for the character River Song was he needed, for plot reasons, to have a character trust the Doctor immediately. And so we wouldn't have a lot of why should we trust you? Why should we listen to you stuff going on? And so he thought, who would instantly trust the Doctor? And he thought of, a companion he hadn't met yet. That would be interesting.
Right.
And that gave us River Song. Here with Commander Spencer, the writer thought, the unit director in this time period would instantly know and trust the Doctor. So we can avoid that in this 26-minute story.
Right.
We can avoid the why should we listen to or trust you in the situation.
Right. Get right to it. So did you mention that the bunker is, in addition to being completely clean and private and monitored, there are no germs or microbes of any kind, which is actually would be a problem, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I assume that's hyperbole.
Yeah, because humans, we need microbes to exist.
Also, there are zones of privacy in this. Even though the base in general is monitored, they do let you have privacy in your own stateroom. So they're not watching you go to the bathroom and take a bath and stuff like that.
Right, and that's how the murder happens, because it happens inside someone's stateroom. And they're negotiating the end of what they say the Second Cold War, which I think is an interesting, because they don't go into any details who's involved or anything,
or at least they're negotiating avoiding a war.
Right. The we know that the Americans are involved because the American is the one who's killed, but other than that, we don't know who else where the other delegates are from. So the word.
One thing to note about Nobody No One is he's patterned, and you can hear this. I didn't notice this the first time I heard this, but after I read it and re-listened to it, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. His performance is patterned after David Tennant's. So even though he's interacting with the 7th Doctor, he's doing an impression of the 10th Doctor. Now his voice is in a different register than David Tennant, so that's why it wasn't obvious to me. But it's interesting that they're kind of throwing a twisted version of the 10th Doctor at the 7th Doctor here.
Interesting. Yeah. I was going to say Yeah, he's not like trying to do a David Tennant impression, but he's
No.
But this right. There's a cadence. There's a pattern.
It's similar. Yeah.
Right. So
they also talk about him having huge spiky hair like David Tennant.
Right. He's a bounty hunter. He's become a bounty hunter, so he's kind of gone rogue. Mm-hmm. He's more like a master in the sense of in that sense, rather than the Doctor in the sense of being a bad guy rather than a good guy.
Yeah, although he has a distinct motive from the Master. The Master wants to rule the universe.
Right.
No one just wants to catch people.
What are the comparisons? I think originally this came up when we were discussing the Dream Lord from that episode with I think that was the 11th Doctor.
Yep. Amy's choice.
We're not even quite sure that the Dream Lord was even real at the end of that episode.
He wasn't. He was a psychic. He was a projection of the Doctor's subconscious caused by the influence of psychic pollen.
Right.
Which I'm actually a little disappointed by, because the Dream Lord was such a great antagonist. I would love to see him come back, and it makes it hard if he's psychic pollen.
Well, I mean, they kind of leave it a little ambiguous at the end of that one. And I don't know. I feel like if they wanted to, they could certainly bring him in.
They could. This is science fiction, but...
Yeah, and it's Doctor Who especially. They don't feel bound by things like canon. But I think it's kind of interesting to compare it, like this idea of different kinds of domain lords. Time Lord, Word Lord, Dream Lord. So it's kind of interesting... Like I kind of think of like what other sort of domains or dimensions could we mine for this sort of character that would be fun. I don't have a particular one in mind, but I just think it's interesting the creativity of doing something like this outside the normal realm. So that's interesting. I do like also the fact.
Here we go. So picking up on that, there's a realm of dreams, and so it has Dream Lords.
Yep.
And the Dream Lord that we met was a real entity from that realm that was brought into contact with the Doctor by psychic pollen. But if he goes to the realm of dreams, he could meet him without the psychic pollen. That would be interesting.
Yeah. We went to in the first Doctor's time, I think it was, they went to a game dimension, right? Not the
Celestial Toy Makers.
No, there was one before where no, it was not game. It was fairy tales that came alive.
Oh, that's in the second Doctor's time,
right? Because Jamie was that. Yeah, right. That is
the land, there's the land of fiction.
The land of fiction, right. Again, it's kind of interesting that modern who has not kind of gone back into these sorts of places. It would be interesting to see.
They did wild stuff in the first and second Doctor's time that the series kind of got away from, and they brought a little bit of it back. Like in the first Doctor's time, there's an episode where the TARDIS has a malfunction and it materializes small and everyone is tiny. And they didn't touch that idea again until the 11th Doctor's time, when they did something similar.
Right. But even then he wasn't tiny.
12th Doctor's time. And even then he wasn't tiny. Right.
So the resolution of this was the Doctor. Well, first we're told the delegates get confused that they don't need their translators anymore, as they're all being herded toward the TARDIS. So they very cleverly highlight the fact that the TARDIS's translation circuit automatically translates languages for people, which is nice. But the resolution is to turn the TARDIS into the Tower of Babel, in a sense.
Yeah. The Doctor says that when Hex threw the switch all the way to the reverse, it translated everyone's speech and thoughts into ancient Spinozian, which none of them could speak. And Ace compares that to speaking in tongues, where you're saying something but not knowing what you're saying, or thinking something but not knowing what it means.
Right. Which is an interesting religious illusion. And
they've at least heard of speaking in tongues in the Church of England.
Yeah. That's true. And the doctor had it welded shut, this switch, because apparently it had gotten flipped at some point unintentionally. Any other notes on this one, Jimmy?
One of the things that I like is Nobody No One has an illusion at one point where he kills someone. So a couple of things. One of them is when Nobody kills the commander, I believe it is. He has a line and he says, "Dead. Oh well, so it goes." And that's a Kurt Vonagget reference, because in Slaughterhouse-5, whenever anything dies, even a microbe, Kurt Vonnegut writes, "So it goes." And so I thought that was a nice little Easter egg for people who've read Vonnegut.
Yeah.
There's also a nice bit. Now, you mentioned the steel plate that Hex has to remove from the translation circuit control. And the doctor has given him something called a thermal spanner, which in American English would be like, it's a thermal wrench.
Right.
To remove the panel. And when he and Ace are trying to figure out how to do this, they realize neither one of them knows what setting to put the thermal spanner on. And Hex has a brilliant leap in logic he doesn't know what setting will melt steel. And so, but he has this brilliant leap in logic. He realizes the Cordis is here and he says, it's going to be set in 45. And so he puts it on set in 45 and that takes off the panel.
Right.
So I really like that. I also noticed a dialogue bit they didn't follow up on, because once you know the gimmick of this, you're listening for every time anybody says either nobody or no one. And there is one point where Ace says nobody likes a quitter. And I thought, oh, they'll pay this off. And they never did. So if I would have either struck the line nobody likes a quitter, or I would have had someone who quits and then it turns out nobody likes that person.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah, I actually should have gone through, hands behind your head, nobody move. Yeah, there's a lot of there's uses of.
There's also some nice dialogue elsewhere. Like at one point, when it turns out Commander Spencer knows about the doctor, she mentions she's read about him in files, but he says, "Have we ever met?" And she says, "Yes, but you won't remember, you were older then."
Right. This is a very clever wordplay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Anything else?
Nope. I really love this one, and I'm looking forward to. I also like the tragic, finale of nobody move, and all of a sudden, all of the pages are blank in the manual where nobody found found refuge. So there will be a future story where nobody comes back, and I'm looking forward to doing that one.
Nobody comes back. So excellent. So that'll do it for this episode. We'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create The Secrets of Doctor Who, including William T., Matisse 64111, not 45, Brad M., Julie M., and SB Writing. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue The Secrets of Doctor Who and all the shows at StarQuest, and you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So that's it from us. We'd love to know what you think of the word Lord. Let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com or the Secrets of Doctor Who Facebook page. Send an email to drwho@sqpn.com or visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/discord. And you can watch The Secrets of Doctor Who on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/StarQuestMedia. By the way, I should point out, I think this story is available for free download from the Big Finish website, bigfinish.com. So you don't even have to buy it to listen to it. Yes, definitely. So we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing, this looks fun, Fast Times, which is another Big Finish story featuring the fugitive doctor, Dr. Ruth. Until then, Jimmy Akin, thank you for joining me and sharing The Secrets of Doctor Who.
Thanks, Tom. And just a word to the listeners, please do like, comment, subscribe, and let other people know about the podcast because, our audience isn't that big and we really, want people to listen to this show. We don't want it to be that nobody listens to this show.
Oh, no. Nobody will listen to the show now. And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Doctor Who on StarQuest. And remember, infamy, infamy. They've all got it infamy.